Go live. Alrighty. Well, folks, I think it's time. So before we go any further, go live. Go live. Got a little theme music for us to get things started. Alrighty. Well, folks, I think it's time. So before we go any further, go live. Go live. I'm gonna fade down the theme music. I'm also gonna stop the share because I'm caught in an endless loop of the video, the audio playing. Hey, we're live. This is we have some of our RioTV crew here with us. A special guest, my daughter and Rio Norte 8th grader Libby Ippolito, along with Nico. Hello, Nico. And we have Tyler. What's up, Tyler? And Preston was here with us. There's Preston right there. So we are here today to discuss WandaVision episode 5. Oh my goodness. First of all, before we jump into, I do have some discussion points here, things I want to ask you about. But first of all, before we jump in, what were your first reactions when you saw the episode? Oh, and I should say, hold on, before we jump in any further, if you have not yet watched the episode, if you're watching us right now, and if you have not yet seen episode 5 of WandaVision that just dropped today, Friday, February 5th, then you should stop watching this. Just press pause, go watch the episode, and then watch us. Okay, I've done the spoiler warning. Now, first reactions. Who wants to start? Nico, go ahead.
I noticed that it was Fuller House themed, or at least what I took from it, and it was 80s, I believe.
I was totally getting the 80s vibe as a person. I think the only person in this room right now who's actually lived through the 80s was me. And I was actually getting very much a Family Ties vibe. So Family Ties, family, all of these have been like family sitcoms from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, now the 80s. So my wife and I, who actually lived through the 80s, we were getting a Family Ties vibe. That was the show in the 80s that starred Michael J. Fox. And other cast members. Michael J. Fox was in Back to the Future. So anyway, that was the vibe that I was getting. So yeah, totally 80s vibes. Yeah, Preston? Oh, can't hear you, Preston.
Sorry. So it's this show is like jumping all around with the timeline. Like I think when it first started, it was like 50s, which is interesting. And then like when it went into color, I think that was around like 60s, 70s. So it's jumping around the timeline, and it's just very strange. It kind of gives like me like some creepy vibes. Like it's like really mysterious and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere, and on one of the blogs, I was just reading just a few minutes before we jumped on live, that WandaVision is moving from sitcom into horror as it kind of gets darker and more mysterious. So other first takes, first impressions.
I thought that the whole idea of like her in her mind recasting Pietro or Quicksilver was like a super great idea. Like they could have just brought in the actor because the way she thinks it is, but like knowing that she now has a conscience while she's in that, like what they call the hex, it's like I don't know, it's like the writing of it is amazing.
Well, and so Preston has to go, so we're going to wave goodbye to Preston. I think this voice that is coming from beyond, I believe that's Leo's voice. So Leo, we can't see you, but we can hear you.
Oh,
if you're able to turn
a big old band-aid on my head because my half brother threw a charging base and hit me right on a pimple, and it like split in half. So my dad said I have to like enclose it, and the less I enclose on it's like really gross.
Oh my goodness. Well, Leo, I hope you recover okay, and so you will be absolutely forgiven for not, turning your camera on. So, Leo, speedy recovery to your injury and to your head. Libby, what were you going to say?
This episode, every episode, I keep like being like, I need more, like right now. Like I just freak out. And this episode, I think I freaked out the most. It was absolutely insane with Pietro coming back and just it all and Vision. Oh my god, I feel so like bad for him. I'm like, get out, like find out what's happening. Because he knows, like there is that realization that there's something so wrong in this world. And it's just so crazy. And my biggest question is, who is there someone controlling Wanda? Because it seems like sometimes she doesn't know what's happening in this world, but that she is created, but it's like I don't know. It's very strange.
Well, and yeah, so that's one of the things we have to figure out is how much does Wanda, how much is she controlling things? And is there some sort of outside force that may be acting on Wanda or influencing her or pressuring her in some way? We just don't know that yet. By the way, before we jump in, because I saw Nico, I saw your hand up. Before we go any further, we do want to give a shout out to our audience and to everybody who's watching, because we have a few people watching live right now. And so if you're watching live, then we want to say hello to you. And if you have questions or something you want to share, go ahead and throw it in the chat right now. You do need to have a YouTube account to drop something in the chat. But if you, and that's easy to set up, you could even do it right now as you're watching. But yeah, throw something in the chat if you want to participate live with us and share your thoughts or ask any questions that you might have. Nico, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say that I noticed there was a little bit of fluctuation, or that's definitely not the right word, but between Monica or is it Monica, right?
Monica Rambeau, yes.
She fluctuated, or it's definitely not the right word. Cringed, I guess, when they said Captain Marvel. So I searched it up, and apparently she was a like assistant to Captain Marvel, like somehow associated with Captain Marvel. And I think that if Captain Marvel ever has to come save the day here, there's going to be a lot of like hatred between those two.
Well, and so Nico, have you seen the movie Captain Marvel?
Yes, I have.
So Maria Rambeau, who is Monica Rambeau's mother, she and Captain Marvel were very good friends back in earlier in time. And that was that again, I have to say, I am not a reader of the comic books, but just based on the movie, just based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, she does have that connection, right? And if you saw the movie Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau was a little kid when Captain Marvel came and visited Maria Rambeau. So there's definitely that connection. And you're exactly right. Like, what will Captain Marvel come in? Because that could be crazy, right? And there was also that discussion that was going on, like, who's more powerful? Is it Wanda? Is it Captain Marvel? They're both extremely powerful characters in the MCU. So who knows? Maybe if they're kind of teasing, are they teasing some sort of like Captain Marvel, Wanda standoff? I don't know. We'll see. Okay. What else? What questions do you have? We're going to give a shout out to Determinator and to Audrey, by the way. Hello. And thank you for jumping in the chat. And again, if you have any questions or something you want to share about WandaVision episode 5, we'd love to hear from you. Tell me about, okay, so what are your thoughts when Wanda exited the Hex, right? The Hex. And first of all, interesting that one of the words for like when a witch casts a spell, it could be called a hex. So maybe that's a shout out to Scarlet Witch. I don't know. Maybe we're just reading too much into that. I'm not sure. But when she escapes, did you notice her accent came back? Her Sokovian accent. Did you pick up on that? Like, she's been speaking in this perfect American accent for a long time, but then the accent came back. So not sure what's going on with that. Audrey says, I'm excited for episode 6. I am too. Also wanted to get your thoughts on, so remember when they were examining her, they were doing like the medical exam and they couldn't find anything on the x-ray. Like they're like, hey, we have to do this x-ray again. Anybody have any thoughts on that? What's up with that? Why Monica Rambeau, why she can't be picked up on an x-ray?
Well, I know that in the comic books, Monica Rambeau, she becomes a superhero. She becomes Photon, which, funny enough, is her mother's name. like her nickname when she was in the Air Force. So I think that she's going to be able to get her powers this way. I think that because of the shield or whatever, you could see like when in episode 4 when she took her hand out, it was like still there. It was kind of lingering on her hand for a second, and I think that Wanda's powers combined with that weird radiation deal going on, I think those are going to help her get her powers, and that's why there was that weird thing going on with her.
Okay, interesting. Other thing, so I've been doing again. I have seen our whole family has seen every movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe except what's the one thing we haven't seen, Libby? Is it
Iron Man 3?
Iron Man 3 is the one we're missing. But we have not yet seen all the X-Men movies. And what I did a little bit of research, and that actor who was recast when Pietro was recast. So Pietro, so Wanda, her nickname is Scarlet Witch, right? We know that. Pietro's nickname is Quicksilver. The Quicksilver character, Scarlet Witch's brother is Quicksilver, Pietro. The Quicksilver character is also in X-Men Days of Future Past. The actor who plays Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, Evan Peters, the same actor who appeared at the end of this episode. So could there be some sort of MCU X-Men crossover now that we've had this actor who's played the character in other X-Men movies? I'm kind of intrigued and curious to see about that too.
Well,
Nico. Leo. Nico, you go first.
I was gonna say that there was a scene in this show where, of course, the dog died, and they're talking to the mom about how she can bring people back from the dead, and I'm pretty sure that's correct because both Vision and Quicksilver were killed. Vision had his gem ripped out, splitting his brain. Won't go into too much detail, but both of them are dead. So I think she definitely does have the ability to bring things back from the dead. But because Vision has like that little bit of like pull and a little bit more power over Scarlet, that might mean that if you were brought back from the dead and you're not a person with human conscious, you might have a little bit more lift or a little bit more strength against Scarlet's powers because she created you, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and then that also raised the question of like, where is the Mind Stone right now? Where is the Mind Stone? Did Wanda go get the Mind Stone? Is she somehow back in possession of the Mind Stone? I don't know. Leo, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say about like the X-Men, and in the comics, Magneto, which is like one of the bad guys in the first X-Men movie, is the father of Quicksilver and Wanda. So that's the whole thing. And also, to point on like the rebirth of Vision, when Monica enters, her clothes change from like normal to 80s, and then when she exits, it doesn't switch back to 2020 or something, whatever the present day is there. So I believe that when Vision exits, he will not change into his dead form. He will stay as a Vision, kind of like giving a rebirth to Vision. Only thing that kind of counters that is that when Wanda exits, her clothes change. But I think that's a little bit interesting there.
Well, and so that again leads us to wonder, if Vision tries to leave, and it seems like at some point, right, he has to challenge that, right? Like I would think that he's going to try to leave at some point. What is going to happen to Vision? Now, Audrey in the chat is saying, what about the twins? Right. So Billy and Tommy. Audrey, I'm assuming you're talking about Billy and Tommy. What's up with them? Any theories on Billy and Tommy?
Well, sorry.
Leo, go ahead, and then Libby.
In the comics, one of them has super speed, one of them has telekinesis. One of them's name is actually just Speed. They joined the Young Avengers, which I'm pretty sure is cast to actually be a movie. But there's this whole group of kids who do become Young Avengers. So I believe that Billy and Tommy are real people in the real world, not just in this like little fake world that Wanda has created.
Okay, so they are somehow, and who knows how they went from newborns to age 5 to age 10 that quickly. But so you think that they're not figments of imagination. They're not like, they're legit, like legit children.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because all of the rest of the people there are people that have like been transformed into those people. They're not actually those people, but they are the only ones that have been created in that town, like kind of besides Vision. So I do believe that they will. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Libby, what do you think?
Well, I was gonna kind of quickly go back to Vision and what you said about him leaving, because I have seen like the trailers and everything that Marvel has officially released, and we do see him try to get out. But anyway, kind of going with the twins and everything. In the 5th episode, I believe that Darcy Lewis said that they are not real people. They are actually Wanda's kids. So, I do like the theory about the Young Avengers, because I know that we're going to get Miss Marvel soon, which is Kamala Khan, I think is her name. We're going to get Haley Steinfeld, I think, is playing like the new female Hawkeye. So I think that that's kind of cool. That I never really thought of that. That was interesting. So I do think they're real kids. I still don't know how a human can have a child with a synthezoid, but I'm not going to get into that.
They didn't cover that in 7th grade science?
Well, not really, no. But I think it's really interesting about the Young Avengers, since there are so many other characters coming in. That'd be really cool to see the Young Avengers.
Awesome. Okay. What questions do you have? And we have Audrey and Determinator still in the chat. So want to once again give you a shout out, or anybody else who's watching right now. What other questions do we have? Unanswered questions. And then what do you think is coming next? Like what's going to be the next step in episode 6? Like, what are you excited? What questions do you want answered right now? Yeah, Nico.
Pretty much every episode there's a commercial, a random ad, and although sometimes it has to do with the story a little bit, like for example there's specific ads to the 50s, but I believe that either the brand of the product that they're showing is like a Marvel company. For example, I don't remember, I think it was Zorro that the brand of paper towels that they showed today was. I think that might be a Marvel company. I haven't searched it up yet. But I think that those ads are just tying in reality to this just a little bit more. And I am wondering if Zorro is a Marvel thing.
Yeah, Leo.
Well, I have an insight on one of the ads. It was for Hydra soap, which is a soap product made by Hydra. In Avengers Age of Ultron, I'm pretty sure, they talk about that soap specifically and how Hydra has used it with chemicals to rearrange the mind and like to mind control and stuff. So we've already heard about that one. And then in the toaster one, there's like this beeping noise, and it's the first color we see in the whole show. I'm pretty sure is that red little beeping thing, and it's the same noise. I don't know if it actually is, but I saw this theory that's the same noise as the bomb, like the Stark Industry bomb. We know that Wanda's parents were killed by some Stark Industry bomb, so Wanda has that noise like in her head. She's heard that noise before, so she's making up these ads out of things that I don't know that she's used, because she was originally hired by Hydra and like created by Hydra using that soap. So she would know about the soap. She would know about the sound of the bomb. I don't know about the watch and the paper towels though. I have no idea what those are.
Yeah, Libby, and then back to Nico.
So about the watch, I saw something where it's Strucker, and Strucker is the guy who in Age of Ultron, I don't remember when we meet him. He's the one that got the powers for Wanda and her brother Pietro. And also something about the ads that I noticed, and I'd also like to learn more about the ads, is that they always say, oh, forget about the past, this is your future. I don't remember which ad that was, but it's like, forget about all that bad stuff that happened. So I think that might be part of the someone who is controlling Wanda, kind of like them saying, okay, you know, you're starting, like, it's starting to get really weird, or it's Wanda herself. I honestly don't know, but it's someone saying, oh, just forget about all the bad stuff that's happening, you know, stay here, it's great. Something like that.
Well, and we saw that. Well, I'll hold off. Nico, what were you going to say?
I was wrong about the brand name. It's actually called Lagos. And apparently, according to like some lore that was figured out 9 hours ago, the paper towels were named after the city which Wanda accidentally killed. Were named after the city which Wanda accidentally killed quite a few people, quite a few innocent people. But the slogan of the product was pretty much, it's Lagos, and that's the town name that she killed the people in.
Okay. And again, it was something with the paper towels today where it was like, forget or clean up your past mistakes or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You can clean up mistakes with Lagos brand paper towels. Okay. Any other, again, giving a shout out to our folks who are watching live, and then to our panelists who are on right now. What are some other questions that we're hoping to get answered in episode 6 and beyond? Because there are only 4 more episodes left this season, right? It's going up to episode 9. I think episode 9 is going to air a month from now on March 5th. So only 4 more episodes left. What unanswered questions still need to be answered? Yeah, Tyler, and then Libby.
From what I saw in the new episode, I want to know how, like, I think it's called the hex wall, or the wall where Wanda keeps on going in and out. I want to know how that got there. I don't know if that's been answered in previous episodes, but I want to know how that got there.
Yeah, how was that? How was the hex created? Was it all Wanda, or is there some other outside force also acting upon it? Yeah, Libby?
Well, I know because of COVID, a lot of things got canceled, and I heard that WandaVision was supposed to, I think, be aired after Doctor Strange came out, the second Doctor Strange movie. And I've seen like interviews where both Paul Bettany and I'm pretty sure Elizabeth Olsen, who play Wanda and Vision, they have said they're really excited about the super secret guest star that they have on the show. And my question is that Doctor Strange? Is that Benedict Cumberbatch? Is he going to try to stop Wanda? Is that what's gonna happen? Because he's in charge of the mystic arts and he deals with all the multiverses and stuff like that. So is he gonna come and intervene with what Wanda is doing?
Yeah. So who is not only, because I think the feeling is they don't want to hurt Wanda, right? Like they don't want to, she's not a Thanos type of figure, but she's clearly like, she's taking this town hostage. She's threatening the life and the safety and well-being of others. So it's almost like you need somebody you need an Avenger to peacefully and hopefully peacefully take out, neutralize this Avenger. So is it going to be Captain Marvel? Is it Doctor Strange? And so Audrey asked the question, what if Thanos still has the Soul Stone? Is it possible that Thanos could still have the Soul Stone, or could be somehow within the Soul Stone? And what connection could that possibly have? And then Nico also pointed out in the chat, you find it funny, Nico, that Elizabeth Olsen is the sister. She's actually the younger sister to Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, who played the twins in Full House. So all sorts of like TV sitcom connections. It's crazy. Leo, before we get going, because I feel like we're kind of starting to wrap things up here for our first after watch party. Maybe we'll have future after watch parties. Leo, any unanswered questions for you or stuff that you're really excited to see in upcoming episodes?
I have a lot of unanswered questions. But one of the questions that Libby brought up was the Doctor Strange. There is supposed to be a Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie coming out. I'm pretty sure this year or next year. And there has been confirmed that Doctor Strange will be somehow tied in with this movie. So this TV, the show and the movie will like somehow link up. to each other, so they'll correspond on each other. But really, if I saw this film theory video by Matt Pat. He does like game theory, film theory, food theory. He's like the best theorist on YouTube. He made a huge video about it. It explains like a lot of things. So I think you guys should go watch it if you want to.
Cool, Leo. Well, thanks for the shout out. Okay. Well, hey, before we go, because we've been chatting about episode 5 for the last 25 minutes now. Any final thoughts or anything else you want to share with all of our viewers here, viewers and listeners, present and future, before we go? Any final thoughts on the MCU, on WandaVision, anything else? Nico, I'm going to start with you.
I do think it's interesting. Actually, this was the cool thing that I picked up. I thought it was very interesting how Wanda created those clothes for Monica that are bulletproof. So they're pondering the fact that, does she have the power to create all of this stuff in this fictional world that is bulletproof in the real world, or is it? That is one of the leading facts for me thinking that it is another power.
Well, and Nico, what she was actually able to do, at least this is what I picked up on when I watched the episode, was Monica was wearing her bulletproof vest when she went in. And so it was like it was converted. It was the clothing was converted into like bulletproof leisure wear from the 1970s. So, but that's crazy, like how it retained some of those properties. So there's got to be some reason why they're exploring that. Tyler, any final thoughts before we wrap things up this afternoon?
One final thing that I have is in the episode when Wanda and Vision, where they both got up, and I thought they were gonna fight for a second, which I thought was gonna be cool, but I guess not. But I found the episode really interesting.
Well, and yeah, I think you're talking about like in the living room where they both like start levitating, and we've seen that scene teased in previous trailers, like it's going to be some sort of standoff or something. So maybe Wanda was able to kind of diffuse the situation, diffuse the tension now, but Vision is getting more and more suspicious of what's going on. So it seems like just a matter of time before Vision finally tries to, maybe go rogue and escape or rebel in some way against Wanda, or against this like alternate reality, this fake reality that's been created around him. Okay, Leo, any final thoughts or things you want to share or predictions that you want to make?
No, but I do know that there's supposed to be like a Halloween episode coming up, and it looks cool.
I know they've been teasing this for a while now. I thought it might be this episode, but maybe it's going to be I don't know. Is next episode going to be the 90s? Is that what we're going to see?
Yes, and hopefully they do Friends, or no, Friends I guess could be 2000, or Seinfeld. I want to do Friends or Seinfeld as like the theme of it.
Well, although if you've noticed 50s, 60s, 70s, the 50s was sort of like
I Love Lucy.
Sort of like either an I Love Lucy kind of theme or a Dick Van Dyke Show, if you're familiar with, or kind of along those lines in the 50s. The 60s had kind of a Bewitched vibe to it. If you what's that?
Kind of felt like a I Dream of Jeannie as well.
Or I Dream of Jeannie. Yes, both Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie had magical wives or magical female characters, right? So yes, the vibe Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie vibe, both of which took place in the 1960s. 1970s, I was kind of feeling like a Brady Bunch vibe, right? Brady Bunch or Partridge Family. And the thing that is common among all of these is that they're all family shows. So they all involve like husbands and wives and, to some extent, children. And so I would be curious now, what is the 90s, if they're following that pattern, what is the 90s family show? Is it going to be Full House? That was totally a 90s show, 90s family show, or Family Matters, or what's, some other family shows of the 90s. From the previews, I've kind of been getting like a sort of like a Modern Family vibe from some of the more like recent either 2000s or 2010s. So who knows? Audrey even threw out a possibility in the chat. What if Vision divorces Wanda, or if he just refuses to like be with her anymore? What would happen there? Who knows? Okay, I've called on Nico. I've checked in with Tyler, checked in with Leo. Libby, any final thoughts before we sign off for the day?
Oh, so many, but I'm not gonna say. To go with the theme of like sitcoms, I don't think this is gonna happen, but I'm a big Office fan. I think it'd be awesome if there was some sort of Office shout out, but I don't think that's gonna happen. There's already too much going on in this world. But shout out to any of the Office fans watching. But I'm just really excited to see what happens. I'm still kind of processing the last episode. It's all so crazy. I just before this I was watching like the last 2 minutes and just still freaking out, even though I've already watched this episode. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see what has to come.
Yeah, I think some Office fans are throwing out a possibility of a Robert California Ultron crossover, since it's both played by the same actor, James Spader, who appeared both in The Office and in the MCU. Anyway, hey, I think it is now 3:30. We have spent a good 30 minutes just breaking down one episode of WandaVision. So I think this would be fun to do again in the future. So if that's something that you are interested in, then perhaps we'll bring this again in the future. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Once again, thank you so much for joining us for our very first ever WandaVision After Watch party with RioTV. Our once again, our guest Nico, thank you. Tyler, Libby, who also happens to be my daughter, and then the man behind the scenes, Leo. Good luck with your injury. May you heal quickly, and have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. If you're watching the Super Bowl on Sunday, have a relaxing weekend, and we'll see you next week on RioTV. Bye, everyone. All right, and the stream is finished.